Jules, we not done. We have more quick hits.
Yes, let's go.
We have champions in France. What a shock. It's Paris Saint-Germain. They beat Lens 2-0 on the road to seal the deal. However, this game itself, not straightforward at all.
No, they were lucky to win this. I mean, to be fair, a Lens win or even a draw would have been fairer. Lens had 25 shots, 10 on target. Savonov saved all of them. He was outstanding. L'Equipe gave him 9 out of 10 in their ratings. And trust me, getting 9 in the L'Equipe ratings is difficult.
Especially when you have a man bun.
Well, I don't mind so much the man, but he was incredible. He's been incredible the last few weeks, not just in this game. Anyway, Lens are a wonderful team. I've said it all along. For me, even if they don't win the title, they can still win the French Cup in the final against Nice. But they have been the best team in the league, and they were just a bit unlucky towards the end in the final sprint. Maybe a lack of experience from the players, from Pierre Sage, the coach. They just missed a bit, a little bit there, and got a bit tired despite not playing in Europe. But they've been incredible, and they were incredible in this game. Really make themselves, their fans, our friend José Fugolian, the owner, really, really proud because they were outstanding and they were really unlucky to lose. But well done to PSG, fifth title in a row, 14 in the history. And they won that with the depth in their squad more than the first team. Inter do the double, beating Lazio 2-0 at the Stadio Olimpico. Christian Kivu keeps the legacy going.
Yeah, with a little bit of help from Nuno Tavares. Yeah, not good. And but we had goal from. They gave the goal to Thuram, which I thought was weird. Because it came off of Marisic.
Yeah,
but I guess, it's usual. Like, well, what defender wants to claim an own goal? Ha, ha, ha.
Still.
Lautaro scored. You know, I see Lautaro scoring in the finals. I think, look, Inter are a much better team than Lazio. Right? Lazio have got serious problems. Nice to see their fans show up.
Great atmosphere.
I feel for Lazio, they've got serious issues. Inter can only beat what's in front of them. What I will say is Inter are far ahead of everybody else in Serie A this season. And other clubs like Milan, like Juventus, like Roma can complain, but restrictions, money, blah, blah, blah. Guys, Inter are in the same boat. Inter, I have to operate at close to break even. Inter have a comparable wage bill to yours. So they're simply in a situation where not everybody is, of the big clubs, have a lot of money to chuck around. Inter are kind of competing. They're better at competing with the straitjacket. And as I said, Kivu taking over for Inzaghi.
It's only the third double. I thought they would have more, but it's 06-10 and then this one. And I'm like, okay.
One of them is a treble,
of course.
Is the one that matters even more.
Yeah, sure, but still,
Also, nice of you to mention 06. Juventus would suggest that one never happened.
True.
Jules, it's time to go there. Real Madrid president Florentino Perez gave his first press conference in 11 years. I think it's fair to say it was worth the wait.
Incredible. I've never seen anything like this, really, from somebody of this stature and of a club of this caliber. Florentino Perez, when we saw the statement from the club that he was going to, address the media, I thought, okay, this is good because it's a tough season, it's a crisis season. Hopefully, it will bring clarity on the future next season. Have a strong message to the fans, maybe even to the squad. Maybe he would talk about the Tchouaméni Valverde incident. I was really hopeful. I promise you, I didn't see this disaster class coming at all, and yet he made it all about himself to start with, and clearly wanted to settle some scores with. I'm not really sure exactly who, but saying like, everybody's attacking me. They want my place. So I'm not going to resign, but instead I'm going to call new elections. The elections were supposed to be in 3 years' time. So he moved them forward. When we know, and it's the next question, Gabby, how hard it is to even be a candidate. He's actually,
we'll get to that.
Leaving, but then actually he's going to be re-elected. I don't know if he wanted to flex, but it was nothing but flexing because I thought he looked pathetic when he talked about the mall in the dressing room more than actually what happened between Tchouaméni and Valverde, instead of condemning a fight that no club should have, especially not the bigger club in the world. He goes, well, every year there's fight. Well, there's nothing different. What bothers me is the league, when him himself and his people leak stuff all the time. This is what they do. They use the press a lot in Madrid. And I think the worst probably for me, more than the Negreira case and Barcelona, the worst for me was when he had to go at his own fans for booing the team, because he should know by now, after 26 years in charge in 2 spells, that if fans are not happy with the performances or the result, which is the case this season because it's been poor. Football has been poor, results have been poor, that fans, if they're not happy, they are allowed to show their discontent and their frustration. And instead, he pointed the finger at them himself, saying, listen, I understand your frustration. We apologize. It's not good enough from a club like us, but next season we do better. No, instead, it was none of that.
The massive inconsistencies. At the same time, he's saying these fans, they're the socios. They're the owners of the club. Well, of course they're allowed to boo. And you know what? There's a strong history of Real Madrid fans booing and the pañolada of the team. Real Madrid are unlike any other club in the world, right? Ancelotti, I remember him telling me, like, oh, we could be 4-0 up at the Bernabeu. If they don't like the way they're playing, they'll boo us. It's part of what makes Real Madrid special. And he's going out there in the Forbes list, and we're number one in this, and the biggest turnover there. So what? So what? Real Madrid are the biggest brand in football. They're maybe the biggest brand in team sports. The standards are that high. You're not like another club. And to go there and to talk about everything he's won. No, we're talking about the here and now, right? Go and address that. Instead, he's picking on the ABC newspaper, which his dad used to get. All sarcastic about the fact that a woman journalist wrote something he didn't like.
Yeah, some sexism
People
as well.
plotting against him. Well, some sexism also. The Mexican guy. None of this is kosher. And I think this makes you look at this and it looks like somebody has a meltdown. And I hate to say it, he got so angry because he was angry because people, they said that people close to him say Florentino's tired, right? Well, I'm sorry. If you're not tired, what excuse do you have for such a disjointed thing? I watched the whole thing. He kept going back and repeating himself over and over again.
Yeah.
He's in his late 70s. He needs help. He needs people around him who trust him and say, this is not what we want. He should be thinking about his succession. He should have been thinking about his succession 10 years ago. That's the reality of it. If you love the club, that's what you do.
And he turns 80 next year, Gav, and there are no term limits at Real Madrid in terms of presidency. And remind us why it's so hard for anyone to challenge him.
Yeah, so they changed the rules a few years back where if you want to run for president, you must have been a club member for 20 years. And you need to personally provide in escrow guarantees for 15% of the club's revenue. The club's revenue has grown enormously now. So it's like 150 million odd that you need to provide.
Yeah.
Which not a lot of people can do, even though there's many rich people among Real Madrid's fan base. Now, these rules were put in because what you don't want is just have elections and you have some rando get elected and then he uses the club to get rich, which accusation that has been leveled at previous Real Madrid presidents. Florentino's already a billionaire.
Yeah.
So I think most people think, well, there's no chance that Florentino's going to, Florentino's not there for his own personal enrichment. He doesn't need that,
No.
which is true.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's a limit because you make a Venn diagram of people who are eligible to run for the Real Madrid presidency, and it's only Florentino who meets the requirements.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the requirement. I mean, this other dude, this Mexican guy, we'll see.
Riquelme, yeah.
In a couple years, maybe Cristiano.
Yeah, maybe,
I don't know if
that
he
would
got
be
his
fine.
membership,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
you know.
He would have been a member for 20 years, Cristiano.
It's just stuff to think about.
Yeah.
Ibrahim Diabate scores the only goal as Barcelona fall away to Alaves 1-0. Jules, this means they won't reach the 100-point mark this season. I don't think they care at all.
No.
I do think Alaves cares because this will
Massively.
probably keep them up.
Yeah, and I don't think in a very tight race against relegation, if you look at it between, I think, 11th and 20 or 19, I think there's like 3 or 4 points, something like that. So it's really tight down there. Alaves would have been super happy to see the lineup first because it was clearly Barca B team after celebrating the title for the last few days. And then that Barca B team didn't really put up much of a fight in this game, to be honest. And for Alaves, what a great win. It took them from in the bottom three to just obviously outside the bottom three, which is massive, massive for them. For Barcelona, I think the 100 points would have been nice. But you're right, they don't care.
The only living Sorloth in captivity comes off the bench to score as Atletico Madrid win it Osasuna 2-1. Jules, he's up to 20 goals in all competitions once more. This kid's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And he was on the bench again. I'm not sure what the problem is because Simone played Lookman and Griezmann in the front two.
Oh, come on. That's all creativity, style.
Yeah, but it's not so much that it's creativity or not. It's just like if you're solo, you're thinking, like, hang on a minute. Even Lookman plays ahead of me. Alvarez, I can get. Griezmann is Griezmann and he's coming to the end. So he's going to play every game now between now and the end of the season. But I thought that was a bit harsh on him. He came on. did well, although the goal is a tap in, like a header, an easy header on the Llorente deflected cross. This was, I thought, not a great performance. It's tough to go to Osasuna, I know. And to be fair, they had the better chances, and probably a draw would have been fairer. But Atletico then have nothing to play for, apart from maybe finishing third and not fourth, which financially gives you a couple more million euros in TV revenue prizes. So that's all really. But I wanted that. I did that again for ESPN FC, and I wanted Griezmann to shine. He got the penalty for the first goal and then gave the ball to Lookman, which I thought was very generous for him, and had a bit of moment of brilliance through and through. So I was happy.
I was trying to be like you. I'm surprised sort of at this stage. Like, why not let the guy play and get his goals,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Especially if you're gonna rest Alvarez. I wonder. To me, I'm wondering. Obviously, there's a lot of rumors linking Alvarez with a move away. He's got a lot of people like him, including, funny enough, Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, we tried to sign him 2 years ago. He chose Atleti instead of them.
I wonder if part of the reading here is because I don't think you're going to keep both of them. I think at this stage,
Yeah,
right?
one
you
will
need to
go. I think,
monetize.
yeah.
I would make sense. Let's just play Sorloth all the time. Let him like pump up his stats, and then we shift Sorloth because Alvarez is a better player. Unless they figure it's going to be difficult to keep Alvarez,
Yeah, he wants to leave. I
and
think.
then you really monetize Alvarez.
Yeah, definitely. I think
So-
that's the idea for the summer for sure.
If he joins Paris Saint-Germain, he's not going to be happy in the Gonzalo Ramos role. He's going to want
No.
minutes. How's that going to work? Because you already have 4 going into 3, and then it goes 5 into 3.
Yeah, although I think Barcola could maybe be leaving. He came off he was subbed off after the halftime last night in Lens because he was not good at all, and I wonder if there's something there maybe. And in that case, you need, because I think Gonzalo Ramos is going to leave in the summer anyway, so you might lose 2 of your 5 attackers really if you don't count the kids. So I think you can have him. You can also move maybe Desiré Doué a bit deeper, which he's done really, really well in this game against Lens.
Okay, but wait, but that's mean to Warren Zaire Emery at some point
No,
going
but
forward.
you need players, you need competition, you need depth in your squad. I love that. So I think Barcelona is probably where Julian Alvarez right now wants to go, and probably where, if they can afford him, the fit is the best. But I can see why he's also tempted by Luis Enrique and PSG. Napoli fall at home to Bologna 3-2 thanks to a late Jonathan Rowe. Quite a spectacular goal as well if you haven't seen it. That is a kick. Gav, they could have wrapped up the Champions League place for next season.
Yeah, and they kind of screwed this up. They came from behind, and maybe a point's enough. They'll be fine. There's 2 games to go. They're on 70, Juventus on 68, Milan and Roma on 67. Milan obviously trending in the wrong direction after that horror show against Atalanta.
Yeah.
And Little Como on 65. And they're going to have 3 spots. Presumably it's going to come down to Milan or Roma. But it is kind of disappointing. Like,
I expected better from that. Bologna are a good team. They're a really nice team to watch.
I think Conte, like, once the motivation goes, because he knows he's there, the team goes flat very quickly.
Yeah.
Wild stuff in Scotland, Jules. Hearts thought they had won the title until a late Kelechi Iheanacho penalty via VAR in Celtic's game against Falkirk means it will all come down to the final day of the season when Celtic play who?
Yeah, Hearts. So they would not have won the title. They would be 3 points clear with a game to go and a +5 goal difference in their favor. Or
Okay,
+6,
so they would have had to lose 6-0 against
No,
Celtic.
3. Well, no, 3, because they would
Oh, that's
swing,
right.
obviously, yeah.
Okay.
So a 3-0 defeat could have, I guess, happened and be possible. However, they would have made a massive step towards the title, and instead, I'm going to say it's a disgusting VAR call and referee call on that penalty for Celtic. I don't think it's ever a penalty. I think if you Motherwell, you feel really harshly done. If you're Hearts, you feel really, really harshly done. And Derek McInnes, their manager, was, as you would expect, outraged at the end when he was asked about that penalty. That for me, it's never in a million years a penalty. But we have the final of the league that everybody wanted and kind of was hoping for. Not if you're Hearts and Celtic, who they would have hoped to wrap up before that. But this is it. It's not the first time that Hearts, could have lost or lose a title in the last game of the season. I think 1965 and 1986, if I remember well. That's when they were in this position, and lost it. I think both to Rangers actually. It's been a long time since in the Scottish League we've had a game like this where the winner takes it all basically. Celtic Park is going to be obviously buzzing and incredible for such a big stadium. You know how much the away fans allocation is?
No.
600.
Wow.
For such a big stadium, I think
that's like 1% of the stadium.
Yeah, it's taking the mick. Really, it's bad. So those 600 Hearts fans will travel to Glasgow to be there for that game, potentially watching history. They haven't won the title since 1960. Will be, really hopeful. And to be fair, let's be honest here. We like Martin O'Neill as what he's done. I know you don't like him as a person, but what he's done in this club.
Yeah.
Coming, leaving, coming back again. The Hearts have been the best team by far. And I think for what they are building there with Tony Bloom and the investment that he had in the summer, the low budget that they have, the players that they find, the data that they use, I think they fully deserve to be champions.
Yeah, and I have to say this, and this applies to Tony Bloom at Brighton, and it applies in a different way perhaps to his great rival, Matthew Benham at Brentford. These guys lose people every year, right? You look at like half of the people who made Brighton great are at Chelsea. Ashworth leaves and people say, oh, this guy's a secret. This guy. They all leave and then they replace them with other people, not just players, but like front office staff as well.
Yeah.
At Brentford, I was talking to somebody there and like Thomas Frank leaves to go to Spurs. And then like every week after that, he takes one other guy. They all freaking left.
I know.
And then they get Andrews, who I don't want to disrespect the guy, but like it's not like you're getting somebody who would, was like considered some sort of genius up and coming, was raving about.
Yeah.
They put new people around him, and they win again. That's club culture. Like honestly, if you're another club and you say I want to copy Brighton's success, the guy you need to recruit from Brighton is Tony freaking Bloom.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, go and buy him. There are people who are richer than he is. Yeah. Go and get Tony Bloom to work for you. And then you can rebuild a little Brighton.
Yeah. Back to Serie A, as we record this on Thursday morning. We're still not sure when the Champions League deciding games, including the Rome derby, are going to be played, Gab. This is crazy.
It's completely crazy.
Every year we got something like that with Serie
A. This is beyond stupid. All right. So this is a thing. So in the last 2 rounds of Serie A, games where they have something at stake and you have an advantage based on the result elsewhere, blah, 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 which can be obviously relegation for the title, whatever, or the Champions League spots, they'll have to be played at the same time. So nobody gets an advantage, right? So this means that this weekend, it's Roma-Lazio, Juventus-Fiorentina, Genoa-Milan, Pisa-Napoli, and Como-Parma. All have to be played at the same time. It's kind of a hokey rule, I think, but I understand the logic behind it. The problem is that this weekend is also the final of the Italian Open tennis. As you know, like these days, we're much better at tennis than we are at football.
Yeah, true.
So it's a big deal. And the Italian Open in Rome, it's played at the Foro Italico, which is part of the same complex as the Olympic Stadium. So the final will probably be late afternoon. And so they said, all right, well, then we'll play Roma-Lazio at 12 o'clock or 12:30 on Sunday before that, which incidentally, 70,000 fans milling about with these genteel tennis fans on their way in later. I don't know.
Yeah.
But guess what? You knew when the schedule came out that these 2 events were on the same day in the same place. You knew this. You knew this months ago.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're making all these other 4 games, they all have to adjust based on you. So they filed a complaint. They went to court to try to get an emergency injunction to move the game to Monday. Then you'd be moving all these games to Monday. The league says, no, wait a minute, because on Monday, it's a work day, right? We make some of our money around the world and stuff. People are at work. It was funny. The Maurizio Sarri in his slight insanity, he's like, oh, you know what? If this game's on Sunday, if I got permission from the president, I just wouldn't show up. It's ridiculous that we have to play on Sunday at 12:30 in May. I just wouldn't show up. I don't care. Like, I'll forfeit the game, give the points to Roma. What do I care? So it's an absolute mess. And again, it does not make the league look good. Sevilla will stay up after winning 3-2 at Villarreal. But, Jules, the really good news is that they may soon have a new ownership group Led by Sergio Ramos. Is this
Yeah.
good news?
Yeah, I think it's good news. I mean, the win is good news to start with because it's a late winner by Akor Adams. And to win at Villarreal, who have nothing to play for and will,
On the
just
beach.
third or fourth place, but still they've qualified for the Champions League. It's huge for Sevilla, those back-to-back wins. Massive, but you're right. The big news is Sergio Ramos potentially coming back with a consortium behind him too. 444 million euros is the cost to buy the club where it all started for him, where he was obviously at the academy, but where he's from as well. And when we know what a mess he's been at the top of the club, Del Nido and all that clique, I think it's good news. Let's hope it's good news certainly for the club because they are a massive club.
That's a really big valuation.
Yeah.
I think what's going to determine whether it's good or bad is the other people in the consortium, because we've seen consortiums that are kind of fronted by certain people. Like his old pal Gerard Piqué, for example, who's in trouble for other reasons right now. But in the end, the people who are putting in the money, they have no trouble. Sergio Ramos is the figurehead, and he's put in a couple million, and somebody else put in 100 million. If there's a tough decision ahead, they'll be like, "Hey, Sergio, get to one side," right? So it doesn't always work great, but it is certainly better than the chaos they had before.
Manuel Neuer, maybe 40 years old, but he's coming back next season, Gab. He signed a 1-year extension with Bayern.
Yeah. Like, he's had some big moments. He's also had some big mistakes, but it's kind of like the story of Neuer's career. He's had many more big moments than big mistakes, obviously. In negotiating this, I hope they sat down with him and they said, look, we believe in Jonas Urbig. And it's not just him. I mean, I think they still have Perez under contract as well. I hope they said to him, Manuel, if you're here, your main job is to help Urbig grow. We'll play whoever's in form at the time. You cannot sulk if you sit on the bench. And you have to accept the fact that your minutes are going to go down. Because a year of the Manuel Neuer we saw this year, playing every game isn't worth it. Isn't worth it if then you have to start from scratch and you've destroyed, you have another Nubel situation like we had a few years ago, right? So, but otherwise, he's a leader. If he accepts those terms, I think he can be a tremendous asset to the club. Salzburg's big center back, Joan Gadou, is on the move, Jules. He's joining Borussia Dortmund. And because he's Paris born and bred, you need to fill us in.
Yeah, I mean, huge talent from a very young age, massive in terms of size and everything. Didn't really believe that there was a pathway for him in Paris, which is a bit of a shame because he's obviously, Paris born and bred, as you said, Gab, and from the academy.
So he left in 2024. And when he says that he doesn't see the pathway. In 2024, Marquinhos was old. Pacho had just arrived.
Yeah, but he was still very young. I don't think he was ready for first team football, although he had a couple of chances and so he trained with the first team. It's difficult
but I'm just talking, if you talk about pathway, right? Obviously, you go to Salzburg, you fall off the map for 2 years, right? Playing in the Austrian league. I'm just surprised that it's not like Paris Saint-Germain at that moment had like 4 22-year-old center backs ahead of him, right? In the pecking order.
No,
you had an old guy and you had a guy who looked really good, but had just arrived, right? And then you had Beraldo, who was slow.
Wasn't there.
And Zabarni wasn't there yet, right?
No.
So I just look at it. I don't know. I wonder if maybe the club could have done more to say, like,
I think they tried everything. He didn't want to stay. So, they had to let him go. I think they get a percentage maybe on this 20 million euro out of bonus sale to Dortmund. I'm not sure if he's ready yet for that step up even from Salzburg and Austria to the Bundesliga. We'll see, but he's still very young. But he's got huge potential.
They're packing in the young center backs. With that, and my Italian boys, Maneva, Gianni as well.
Katlin Kruger will become the first woman sporting director in a Big Five league, like men Big Five league, obviously, when she takes over the Hamburg job on July the 4th, Gab. July the 1st, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if the Big Five applies to women, to be perfectly honest.
No,
given
I
understand. I think women, I think of it more of like a Big Three, maybe?
Probably, yeah.
Big Three plus Barcelona?
Yeah, maybe in Real Madrid, yeah.
So there was somebody else, and I'm blanking on her name, at Watford, actually, a couple years ago. But obviously Watford were in the championship at the time, so not quite the same thing. It's interesting because she comes at this. She started out at Christian Erlinger's assistant a long time, way back in 2009. So she's been at Bayern for
a long time.
16 years. And her role there has grown in strategy. And I think she's been exposed to every aspect, from the recruitment side to the contract side to the negotiation side. Obviously, Hamburg is very different to Bayern. Most clubs are very different to Bayern.
Yeah.
But she's certainly at this stage, she should have the contact, she should have the skill set. And, there's no reason that she can't use this job. She certainly has the experience. Drama in the Saudi Pro League, Jules. Cristiano Ronaldo and Al Nassr, they were 1-0 up. They thought they had won the league against their big rival, Al Hilal. And then we had a comedy moment from their goalkeeper, Bento.
Yeah, last minute of the game, him and a defender go for the same ball. They fumble there. And Al Hilal scored to make it 1-1.
In like the 10th minute.
Yeah, 99th minute, 99th, I think it was, or something like that, which is incredible, which means that now there's the 5-point gap still between Al Nassr and Al Hilal. Al Hilal have a game in hand to play at home against Neom, I think on Tuesday or Wednesday night. If they win that, they obviously come back 2 points behind, and then it's all down to the last game of the season. So it's still very much in Al Nassr and Cristiano's hands. If they win at home against Damaj, who are playing not to go down, by the way, they're just above the relegation zone. If they win that, or if they match the score of Al Hilal against Al Fayha away, then they would be champions for the first time since Cristiano arrived, and for the first time in a very long time as well, for such a big club in Saudi Arabia. So huge moment, of course, but still very much in our hand.
This is a missed opportunity for Al Hilal.
But
they should have won this game.
Yeah, but they will still win the title, I think. Brazil boss Carlo Ancelotti has issued his 55-man squad, or pre-squad if you want, for the World Cup. Gab Thiago Silva and Neymar are included. No Estevao, for example, who is injured. But is that a surprise to see Neymar and Thiago Silva there?
Well, Thiago Silva showed, going to Porto, he didn't play that much, but when he did play, but he was fit. And when he did play, he was good. And I think with the right pieces around him, he's also like a really natural leader. And obviously with no Militao at this World Cup, I think you can use a veteran defensive leader, been there, done that. Ancelotti knows him inside and out, trust him. Neymar, I genuinely don't know.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know. I think politically it would have been stupid for Carleto to not put him on the 55-man list.
Yeah.
But they have to submit the final list by May 18th, which I'm reliably informed is Monday.
Yeah.
So what's going to change in 4 or 5 days? What, like, Carleto's just going to sit there and, like, have a real think about, like, his doubts?
Well, yeah,
like,
you're down from 55 to 26. So.
I mean, but that is a pretty big call. Like,
but it's like the same for everyone. Like, everybody issued a 55-man squad first.
I know, but I'm genuinely curious if there's some countries that, I mean, we did Curacao issue a 55-man squad. I mean, they only have...
It's more to prepare the clubs and the players that you might be called up.
Right.
If you're not in the 55, you won't be called up. But there's a lot of... I think it's more for that. So it's like you kind of warn the clubs, we might call this player, that player, so they know.
It's an administrative thing more than
exactly,
anything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Administrative, that's exactly the right word.
He had when he started out, I think he put together, he had a 98-man list,
sure,
and then whittled it down. All right, Jules, this brings us to an end. But don't worry, we're going to be back on Monday after the FA Cup final, after maybe some other answers this weekend from around Europe. Until then, love the game, love your neighbor, love yourself.